really, really am so happy for you. I want you to pretend that when you came through the door, you gave $1 million for 3 hours of training. You're going to have to, like, trust me on this. What I'm going to share with you will get you your $1 million back plus that per year residual.
Nice.
When I came, when Stefan was talking about I was doing conference calls, it was the funniest thing. I never intended to do anything. I was just going to retire because I'd never made that kind of money in my life. It took me 5 years to get to $150,000 a month from a military income. Okay, I worked part-time for 2 years. And so what I couldn't understand when I got out into the generic world, okay, so I create this video called Brilliant Compensation, which was basically taking everything that I used to present probably 10,000 times, and I just basically stripped out company-specific information and gave it out. Well, it went, what they call today, viral.
Yes.
It went crazy out there. And so it got me people asking, could I consult with their company? Could I consult with this leader? And could I come in and speak? And things like that. And the thing that was really baffling me throughout the whole industry is that there's so few stories of people actually creating walk-away residual income. So I had it for 18 straight years before I decided to come into RX. So for 18 straight years, I had massive residual income. And so I think that the way that people build, it doesn't take you to that. And so that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about. All right, so I really need you to, so if you paid $1 million for 3 hours of my time, would you be scrolling through your phone?
Nope.
How about an Instagram story?
Nope.
Thank you. Okay, so I won't answer my phone if you don't answer yours.
Yep.
But if I see you looking down at your phone, I'm going to pick mine up, okay? And then your neighbor's going to say, hey, knock it off. This is my $1 million he's spending up there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the very first barrier. I'm just going to tell you this, that I see is that you've got this noise. And the first noise is about the industry. That's the first noise you're going to run into, and all of your prospects are going to run into. And if you haven't run into what I'm going to show you, you haven't talked to enough people yet. You will. And so you might as well be prepared. Okay, so I'm going to run you through. So when I say up here how to really build exponential residual income with network marketing, that's what I really mean. So I want it to be residual. And what do I mean by exponential? Okay, so this is a confusing thing. So everybody knows residual income. You would say your phone, right? So I have AT&T as my service provider. And then I pay whatever amount per month for them to deliver the phone to me. So AT&T gets a residual income, right? Another one would be your rent or your mortgage. So every month you pay rent. A movie. So let's say that you created a movie and you get royalties. That's residual income. And a lot of people think that's what we have. That is such an underestimation. And the reason being is that cell phones don't get cell phones. They don't multiply. Real estate does not get real estate. When we get a rep and we train a rep, they multiply our effort.
Yep.
And their effort. You get the difference between exponential residual income. And so exponential would be looking at the population growth. You and your wife or you and your husband have 2 kids. They each have 2 kids. That would be this exponential factor that I'm talking about, all right? And so to give you guys an idea, I sponsored 129 people. When I checked this a little while ago, not today, like months ago, I had 41,000.
Nice.
That's an exponential factor, especially when you consider only 74 of those people are now active. You guys see the difference between compounding versus residual income?
Yes.
So that's an exponential factor. I got 40 customers. I now have 36,000 customers. Okay, spread out everywhere. Wish they got paid on all those. Anyway, so you guys get that first part. So how to really build an exponential without secretly feeling like a second-class business owner. And maybe you don't. Maybe you've made enough money that you don't care what people think. All right? Because I know that factor. I know when you step across that line and you've got this, you don't care what anybody says. I do. However, your prospects, your new people, they care. And they would like to have a real conversation with people. And so, so that's the reason I'm going to go through this particular one. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the journey here. Number one is that everybody has a journey in their life. Everybody has one, right? And so this kid over here, I used to mow yards.
Nice.
And I'll never forget it where my mom and dad, they were, like, I got what I needed, but I didn't get necessarily what I wanted. And so they gave me shoes that I needed, but they were like Kmart plastic boats. That's what they felt like. You walk down the hall and they're, and they were really uncool. And so I wanted to be cool. And so my mom and dad said the most incredible thing to me. And they said, well, if you want Converse All-Star tennis shoes, go make the money. And I'm like, how? Right? And so I end up mowing yards to make enough money to buy my Converse. And that led me to say, well, wait a minute, I want a bicycle. And so they had that bike, that one, at Sears Roebuck and Company, and it was $112. That's a lot of yards, because I would get paid about $3 a yard. And I had to mow a lot of yards. But what it taught me is that I can get what I want if I work hard. That was my first big aha. The second one was when I went into the Navy. That's me in Okinawa. And I'm going to say it this way, but you'll understand it in just a second. I was just a sailor. Okay, so I was just in the Navy. And I would see these guys they would be on the side of the ship and they would be diving, right? And so there's those shorts that didn't look like we have anything on, I know, but we do. And these were shorts that we had to wear because if we went into a hyperbaric chamber after diving or something like that. So that's the reason we had to wear them. And so I would see these guys and they would be wearing like Ray-Ban sunglasses. They had a knife strapped to their calf. They looked so cool. I was like, I want to be one of those. And so I navigated myself. I had a lot of barriers in my head. I felt like I was a dumb country boy. I felt like that I was just, like there was no way that I could learn that because I was an F- student. And I really mean that, right? So an F meant 60%. That means you scored 60% on the test. If you were below that, you failed. I think it might have been 62, but no, it doesn't matter. My score would be like 10. So I was an F- student, okay? So I didn't think that I could learn diving. Like there's a lot that goes on in terms of the body about diving, and I certainly didn't know that I could learn explosives. But this community called Special Operations, when you come into that thing, they assume you don't know how to defuse bombs. They assume you don't know how to use a weapon. They assume that you don't know diving physics. And so they take you and they move you at the right pace until you get it. And then they drill you until you cannot do it wrong, because your mess up will kill the team. And so they drill it until you can't do it wrong. And so all that I did in network marketing was I followed the same philosophy. I assumed that the person who joins network marketing doesn't know it. And so I'm going to put them knees to knees, and I'm going to drill them until they can't do it wrong. Okay, so that's the idea here. And so what I learned is that everything is knowable. Everything. Whatever you decide to do, it's knowable. All right, with the right training. Okay, so that's my huge discovery, is everything is knowable. And then, while I was on board this ship, the USS Missouri, Mighty Mo as they call it, I was on that ship just in case a Silkworm missile from the Persian Gulf was fired into this thing and it didn't blow up. And then on my job, one guy understood what that was. And then my job was to run down there and defuse it. Okay? So I was floating on this ship, and they had this instructor who would fly in, a professor, and he would teach college courses. And I took a college course. Me, of all things. And it was personal finance. Now you got to understand what a ridiculous idea this was. Everything that I owned fit into a sea bag. Okay, I had a couple of pair of jeans, a pair of tennis shoes, 3 t-shirts, and a ball cap. That was my assets. And I'm taking a personal finance class about how to build your credit. I wonder who sponsored a book like that, How to Build Your Credit. Anyway, how to buy U.S. savings bonds. That's a good investment. You know, like this was what the whole course was about. And there was a professor. That's not him, but just picture. Okay, so this was an off-the-shoulder kind of a conversation. I remember it to this day. He was walking along, and he said, but if you want to make a lot of money, you have to either own it or sell it. And it was like a church bell rang in my head. And I'm like, what? Now, he didn't take his own advice. He's on a ship talking to sailors. Okay, so I would remember that 2 years later when I'm on shore duty, and I needed to go to settlement on a house, and so I grabbed a newspaper and I entered this ad: $20,000 a month, top salesperson needed, wear sharp Italian tailor-made suits, drive fancy European sports cars. If you have the courage to call, it can make you rich. Will train, and then the phone number. Well, every single ad said, must, like sales experience required, necessary. And all the ads said that except that one, and it said, will train. And so I answered that ad because, you mean somebody's willing to train me how to make money? Really? That's the number one selling feature of network marketing. If you're not using it in your conversations, you really should. Because, are you kidding? You guys are all sitting here right now. You've got a veteran in the space, and in your organization you have a veteran in your space who's willing to train you. That is not a little deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I answered that ad. Okay? I answered that ad. And I'm really glad I did. Okay, in 5 years, I did what I told you that I did. I got to $150,000 a month, and then I wrote that little video called "Brilliant Compensation," and then I get invited to University of Illinois to teach a college course there. You guys hear that? F- student. Thank you. Really. I got interviewed by Larry King.
Yes.
A couple of hundred network marketing companies. I consulted on various different topics. I was interviewed by Grant Cardone on Network Marketing Moguls. And And I was retired, legitimately retired. I changed my email address. I changed my phone number. Nobody could contact me.
Dang.
Okay? It was just, I just flipped a coupon. You know what I mean? Like, I just got the check. So I missed it. I happened to be consulting a company called USANA. And I would speak on their stage and do various different things. And I happened to be in a boardroom meeting when the executives were fed up. And I had brought a product and I was going to build a new division in that company. I was not going to become a distributor. I was going to be more of I would write the marketing, I'd write the various different protocols, write the training and things like that. So I was going to be more of a field rep kind of a guy. And so then Mark Wilson called me after that meeting when I had proposed all of this, and the owner vetoed it because all the executives said yes. It was a unanimous vote, but the owner had 52% voting rights, or 51% voting rights. And so he vetoed the whole thing. Well, then the company, Mark called me and he said, hey, you want to go and get some sushi? And so we did. And he talked to me about what would it take for me to come back into the industry. And you see now what's called the Bill of Rights.
Yep.
Because the only thing, that's right. Because the $200,000 a month that I was making, I didn't really need to come in for money. I needed to come in if I could change the whole industry. Because I had been in the back of the curtain. I had been in the boardrooms when they were terminating people. I was flown in to do damage control. And so, they were going to terminate their top distributor or something like that, and they needed me to say that it's okay on the stage. And I'm like, well, why are you terminating him? Well, he said disparaging things about the CEO. You're going to take the guy's business because he talked bad about the CEO? Are you kidding me? Like, what? So I would see these things, and they always make people sign non-disclosures. They can't tell about it. So they're going to pay you $100,000 to keep your mouth shut. Why? Because they stopped your check. You haven't had a check for 3 months. You're desperate, and so you have no choice. And so then they say, well, if you sign this, you will not talk about this. We'll give you $100,000. And so that's the way they keep this thing under wraps. But people would contact me and say, Tim, is there anything I can do about this? So that's why the Bill of Rights was something where I said, if I can change the industry and create a competitor that beats all these other companies, then the companies have to shift, change their policies. Treat us not like employees that you can fire, but as business builders that is their partner.
That's right.
So that's how the Bill of Rights really came to be.
Nice.
And you gotta really play Zarex. They are a unique breed. They are a unique breed.
Yes.
Okay? So here's my 3 discoveries that I'm going to go through with you. Number 1, secretly believe network marketing is a second-class business. And so I know this because they're hiding it. They're apologizing. They're withholding talking to people because they're afraid of the opinion that the person's going to have about them. I was introduced on this podcast the other day, and we talked before, and he said, Tim, I don't want you to talk about network marketing. I just want you to talk about entrepreneurship. And I said, I'm good with that. And so it was to a veterans group of military. And so when he introduced me, he says, Tim, you are unapologetic about network marketing. Why? I'm like, didn't we have a discussion? Really? And I go, well, why would I apologize? I worked for 5 years. I created an 18-year residual income. I'm wealthy. Why would I apologize? And so there it started, right? So, but a lot of people hide. A lot of people apologize. You wouldn't want to do network marketing, would you? That's not an invite. Or they withhold. because they're afraid that the person's going to react to them. Number 2 is reps secretly believe that they can't do network marketing. All right? So hoping someone else will build it, either their upline or their downline. Number 3, reps secretly believe that they can't train a team, and you know this because they're attempting to motivate. And so when I survey inside the network marketing industry, it's always unanimous. How do I motivate my reps? Not how do I train them, how do I motivate them? And so that is what I'm going to cover. All right, let's run into this. I'm going to have real fun here, guys.
Nice.
All right, so
Let's go.
truth. So you've heard, or you've been told, or will be told, that you'll ruin relationships if you do network marketing. Has anybody ever heard that phrase?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the truth. A rude or untrained person will ruin relationships regardless of the topic.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, have you ever sat next to somebody who was pro-Trump? Well, let's say that you're pro-Hillary.
Oh, hell no.
Isn't that person going to ruin the relationship? You bet. If you're a Trump fan and you're sitting next to a Hillary person and that person is rude, it's going to ruin the plane ride, right? Yeah. How about your brother-in-law? You know, he's a different religion than you, and he just keeps on and on and on about how you need to join his religion.
Just like
Right? It gets rude, doesn't it? So it's not the topic of network marketing. That's a rude individual. And he's going to be rude about anything.
True.
So for those of you who haven't seen this, I created this kind of a rep grades because I was trying to determine where it all sat. And if you look up there on this side right over here, this is, I can see those fonts didn't get installed. That's interesting. You're good. You're good. I'll be off this slide by the time you find them. So in this column over here, this is going to be how good you are at something. You're either going to be elite at it or somewhere in between that and bad. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're roller skating or if you're bowling or if you're doing whatever, you're going to fall into a category in each one of these. And if you are in school, they'll give you a grade, an A to an F. And this over here is what do you do to relationships? Okay? So your very elite person is going to always be professional. The bad person, your F student, is going to be unprofessional. They're going to damage. They're going to state falsehoods. They're going to lie. They're going to make claims. They're going to spam people. They're going to spam social media. You know, like, you don't think I get spam? My messenger, I never open it on Facebook because it's like, you know, the next network marketing company. So that's the person who does that. That's a behavior. That's not an industry. You guys, can you separate?
Yep.
Somebody who says the whole industry is like this, instead of taking one person out and saying, no, he's just a rude Hillary fan or Trump fan or religious, you know, whatever it is. And so you got to separate behavior from an industry. And then this over here is their activity level. Well, it's very high when you're elite at it, but it's very low or sporadic. You know, you don't see a guy for 2 years and all of a sudden he's back here. And he'll work for 2 weeks and then he'll go away, right? So that's going to be that behavior. And then this is their knowledge level, and this is how much money they make. Well, these guys don't make money, they lose money. And that's the ones that 60-minute interview. Okay, I have a file on my computer and I did bring it. It's from the Wall Street Journal. They wanted to interview me. I asked them, what questions are you going to ask me? As soon as I looked at the questions that they were going to ask me, I knew it was a spin story. Because he said, do you have a high-profile individual, professional in parentheses, that I could interview who's failed in the industry?
Wow.
what? What? Yeah.
Why do you want to focus on those?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to spin the story. Okay? So, and then here's where I've seen the only solution, and that is their training interest. So training interest is the person's belief that everything is knowable. I've just got to find the right training. If you don't have that idea, then you won't do training.
It's true.
You won't train until you can't do it wrong. In fact, when somebody sends you something to train, like it's training on something, you'll ignore it. You won't even open it. I don't have time. Okay, I've got to go to work. Well, wait a minute. Isn't this the idea that we're going to create a residual income for life? Well, let's get trained on that, right? So the second one, the D student's going to complain about training. They're going to be like, oh man, not another event. Are you kidding? They'll watch some of it. So I'm going to show you later my entire funnel in how I recruit people, and I'm looking at whether or not I watch the whole video. I won't do a Zoom with them if they skip watching the videos that I send them. If they're going to not do it at that stage of the business, I am not going to be dragging this guy down the street saying you really ought to do this. You see what I mean? Like how dumb that is? Because the person will not even watch what I ask him to watch, and so I can cut this relationship quick. And I look to do that. And then as you go down, you'll see, we'll receive training, but they won't rehearse it. Okay, so people will receive the training and they'll say, man, that was amazing, but they won't rehearse that training. And then these people, and they're going to earn up to about $250,000 a year, they're going to rehearse it until they get it right. But the elite people will rehearse it until they can't do it wrong.
Nice.
And that idea came from weapons training, where the idea is that when you're shooting at a piece of paper that doesn't shoot back at you, and you drill it and keep drilling that same drill over and over and over again, a lot of people will drill it until they can hit it in the bullseye. They got it right. But when that piece of paper is shooting back at you, it's a different game. And so you will only perform your worst day on the training field is going to be, or your best day on the training field will be your worst day when somebody's shooting at you. And so you got to train it until you can't do it wrong. So you don't shoot your friend and you get your piece of lead downrange before they get theirs. Okay, so that's the whole idea. And so the moral of the story is that training interest is the primary consideration for Tim when I'm recruiting. And for you, it's where do you spend your time? Who do you devote yourself to? Okay, so there you go. All right, you've been told or will be told, I don't want to go door to door. I don't want to bug my friends and family. I don't want to trick friends to come to an in-home meeting. I don't want to drag people to a hotel meeting. Well, this is interesting to me because when I came in, this was in 1989, and I would talk to people and they would say, man, I don't want to go door to door. I'm like, what do you mean door to door? And they say, this is one of those things, like ding dong, Avon's calling. And so they thought that the industry is defined by how we do it. But it's not, because do you have to go door to door?
Nope.
No, you don't. Do you have to bug your friends?
No.
Do you have to do in-homes?
Nope.
What do you have to do? Nothing. You don't have to do anything. So it's not defined. So network marketing is it's dynamic. It shifts. So when door to door is most effective, we'll use it. When home parties are most effective, we'll use those. When in-homes are most effective, we'll use them. When print advertisements are most effective, we'll use those. When you go out and do expos, like a wedding expo or hunting expo, are most effective, we use those. We use audio cassette when they came out. When fax machines came out, we used those too. When kiosks were most effective, those things in a mall, we would use those. When VHS came out, we used those. I did. Some of you probably not yet. When video animation came out, we use it. When Google AdWords is most effective, we use it. When social media is most effective, we use it. When phone apps are most effective, we use it. When the next big thing comes out, we'll use that too. You see, it's dynamic. You cannot define this industry by what we do.
Yep.
Because we're going to shift and if all of a sudden the internet crashed tomorrow, everybody else's business would be toast. We'd be knocking on doors. You see the difference?
Yep.
We are dynamic. We shift. You can't put your thumb on us because we're dynamic. All right? And so when people say these phrases, I just say, fine, choose another method. Because you don't have to do any one of these.
Yeah.
You guys, you've been told that this is a pyramid. Right? I mean, for those of you who watched that silly John Oliver thing about network marketing,
Yep.
he said, and I quote, "If it's shaped like a pyramid, it is a pyramid."
Makes sense.
Imagine the look on my face when I watched it. I'm like, you better stick to being a comedian. Because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Okay, so what this organization right here is actually the U.S. Navy SEAL team. Okay? And it's based upon a particular philosophy. And you've got to master this phrase, all right? So this right here, if you can see this, this is called the basic unit of the U.S. Navy SEAL team. These 4 people right here are shooters. This person right here is called the fire team leader, or the shooter leader. So when you bust down a door and 4 guys enter into the room, there's a fire team leader somewhere in the stack. And that leader, and only that leader, reports to this person right here, and he's called a squad leader. Because the squad leader has 4 squads. And that squad leader, and only that squad leader from this unit, is going to report to the platoon leader. And if you'll notice, the platoon leader has 4 squads. And do you know that there's a company above that, a CO, that has 4 platoons? The reason they function this way is that there is a law or a rule that we've determined in the military, and that is you never try to manage more than 4 to 6 people. 6 people in peacetime, 4 people during combat, during wars. Because if you try to manage more than 4, it gets too chaotic. And the right hand doesn't know where the left hand is, and all of a sudden somebody calls in an airstrike in a particular coordinates and it blows up the army.
Oh.
I listened to your Navy jokes all day yesterday. Take it back. Okay. So this is called decentralized command. When you have a centralized command, that means that there is a tyrant that sits up there and wants to control everything. And the person doesn't know what's going on, because he's trying to get reports from people who just busted down a door, who doesn't have time to write some kind of report because he's going room to room shooting. Okay? So he's not going to get the communication. He's not going to send it up, right? And that guy's going to get so overwhelmed that he doesn't know where anybody's at in the whole war. By the time he gets the communication, sorts it out, figures it out, they've already moved another 1,000 clicks. They're already out of that location, okay? So that's the reason that we use it in the military. Number 1 reason. The number 2 reason is that it can expand in all directions. And it can do it really fast. Let's say we did something real stupid and got into a war with China. They got a lot of people, right?
Yep.
And so we have to be able to grow exponentially really fast. So that's the reason. The second reason is that it is the most rapid expandable organization known to man. That's why we use network marketing. It's not because it's a pyramid. Okay? So you probably also heard that the people at the top,
You could.
or that got in early, make most of the money. How many of you have heard that?
Yep.
Yes.
You've never heard that? Okay, you got to participate. I'm paying you $1 million. I know you
Yes.
paid me $1 million.
I've heard that with Jeremiah.
Okay, so, all right, so you've heard the story. You heard Stefan, you heard Steve. On day one, I go down to the home office and I signed up.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a credit card slide thing. They didn't have a merchant account yet. They didn't have any products yet. I signed up. I drove home. I'm at the top. How much am I making? I'm 100% of sales. I want you guys to ponder this for a good long time. Because you're going to see what bozos are out there saying that the people at the top make all the money.
Mm-hmm.
Top of what? That's what I want you to learn. Top of what? My wife and I get married. We have the fruits of all of our children. We're at the top. We don't have any kids. You see, you're at the top of what you build.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're at the top of. And that's the same at Microsoft. That's the same at Oracle. That's the same at Apple. That's the same at Amazon. You're at the top of what you build. Now, in network marketing, we all get the same compensation plan. And so if I am right there where it says you, if I'm right there, and then Todd Rowland comes in right there at number 3, and he builds a bigger organization than me, and let's just say that we only get three levels deep, then he's going to make more money than me because he built a bigger organization.
Yep.
All the media says that it all flows back up. I wish. That would be awesome. But it doesn't. So everybody gets the same compensation plan, the same levels deep of the whole business. And so anybody who hasn't started yet can outproduce me.
Yep.
Or you. And that's the fairest structure I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Thank you. And you guys see that, like, it's not necessarily people, because it's volume. So if this person, if you taught your people to each get 50 customers, then each pod has a volume bigger than mine, even if we had the same number of people. You get this idea. So I don't want you to think that it's people, even though I have people up here, it's actually volume. Okay, so now you've been told that this is not a pyramid.
But it is.
Despite its shape, John Oliver, despite that each level earns less money. When the FTC sued Amway back in 1970s, what they were trying to prove, one of the big tenets that they were trying to prove, that they could just get the discovery and find out. They would find out that every single level earned less money, and that would define it as a pyramid. But they didn't find that, much to their horror. They found that people lower in the ranks were making more money. But you can't show that in corporate America, all right? So it was a real shocker. So what these guys do is each get different compensation plans. So the shareholders have a different compensation. The CEO, okay, so who recruits the CEO? I'm really asking this question to you guys. The board. Okay, does the board go out themselves, or do they hire maybe somebody from human resources or an executive search firm? Okay, so they're going to go out and they're going to hunt for this person, right? And then they're going to get that person in and they're going to create an offer. Is that offer different than what they offer these?
Mm-hmm.
Always. Okay, so you can now get the idea that each level is going to get an offer. So each level is a different compensation plan. Okay? All right. So how's that working out there? Outside these walls?
Especially in the paper.
This has a lot of data. This is a lot of my time.
Thank you.
But the bottom line is that about 70% of the population has less than $1,000 in savings and less than $30,000 in retirement income. How long can you last at $30,000?
A year. Less than a year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, depends on what you spend, right?
Yep.
And so we've got $3.9 trillion of consumer debt. That's credit cards, people. We got $1.5 trillion in college debt. That's it in the upper right-hand corner for the camera. All the way up in the top. Do you know that we as taxpayers spend $65 billion giving food stamps to people who have a PhD and master's degrees?
Wow.
What?
That's the truth. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just, hey, because network marketing has to reveal all their numbers, everybody attacks us because of that, even though you don't have to do that in real estate. You don't have to do that in stock trading. You don't have to do that anywhere else. And so I'm just going off the numbers that are out there for it. So this is how many people, 400,000 people who have a PhD are doing customer service. So all of these are the jobs that people are taking who have PhDs or master's degrees, right? So, yeah. 2/3 of all millionaires in America own their own business. This is IRS data. Okay, so this is $1 million up to $10 million, and all of it is 1099 income, as opposed to W-2 income, which is salaried. And so there's where it's very, very revealing. This is 20% of the population, and that's 80%. And the numbers will stay exactly the same all the way into network marketing. If you sponsor one person in RX, you move yourself to the 20%.
Nice.
That's all it takes. Okay, get in there and get it done. One customer or one rep. I love this quote. We are kept from our goals not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. And that is the seduction of a salary. I'm going to dig into that in just a minute, but a salary seduces you into a false sense that is better. So, have you ever been told that only a few succeed in network marketing? Okay, so this is by far my favorite subject in the whole debate. You guys know that I created a whole platform called MLMdebate.com. I got a YouTube channel, MLMdebate.com. Don't bother writing it down. It was an utter failure because I couldn't get anybody to debate me.
That's a win.
Professors, John Taylor, the guy who wrote this, all anti-people. I tried to get them to debate me. They wouldn't debate me. Go figure. All right, so he said in this huge document that somehow got positioned on the FTC website. I'd love how you get that positioning. I'd love to know how you get that positioning. But so he said that only 0.15% reach the top level, which is $1 million a year in income. Okay, so that's what he said. I look at our numbers are a little bit better, but let's go with it, okay? So now the first thing I have to point out, and I'm teaching you how to have the conversation with the brother-in-law, okay? Because he's going to say this to you, sister-in-law, sister, in my case. They'll say it without context. What does context mean? So context is a sneaky manipulation tactic. And so they'll make a statement but not tell you that that's the same in all America statistics. So they act as though this is a big deal. Only a few make money. Only a few make money. Okay? So, but yet Americans earning $1 million is 0.1% of all income earners in America.
Wow.
The same statistic. $380,000, and I'm right there at that Americans earn $1 million. $380,000, you're in the top 1% in every state. That's the average. Okay, so in your state, you can search it, and you can say, if I earn, like top 1% earners in Michigan, or top 1%, whatever it is. You can find out what it is in your state, but it's somewhere between like $400,000 and $300,000. Right? So the statistics for the top 1% are the same in network marketing as it is as a national average. The statistic for the 0.1% is the same. Stock traders, 99% lose all money in the account by the third month.
Wow.
Real estate agents, 83% fail by the fifth year. Top 1% make $110,000 a year.
Ooh.
That's not even the national average.
Wow.
Okay? And by the way, the real estate industry will not tell you how many people get their license versus how many people are still active.
Really?
Okay? Weight loss study, 278,000. Okay, so I wanted to tell Dr. Strand yesterday that he's got to look at another study. And he and I go back and forth all the time on all kinds of statistics. But this is 278,000 people, and the odds of losing weight is 99.53% fail.
Dang.
And of the half a person who does lose weight, 78% of him or her is going to regain it. I'm not joking. This is the biggest study ever conducted. In fact, I'm going to drill down into this. Okay, so what is the value of a statistic, I ask? For me, I'm going to tell you what mine is. Fred may have a different answer to this, but 99.85% failed and 0.15% succeeded in network marketing. What I want to know is, what did the 0.15 do?
Exactly.
Do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Find out what the 99.85 did, and don't do that.
Yep.
What other value is there in a statistic? I'll tell you the value of it. If somebody can get you the idea that the chances are so low, you might as well not try. That's the value of even publishing a study like this. I bet you there's a drug coming. Because they put people down into apathy. The feeling of apathy is, it's no use. No use in even trying. To me, this is all I need to see. Awesome. Where are those 0.15 people?
Yep.
Let me talk to them. Right? So that's when I said everything is knowable. There's a lot out there to know, but you want to drill down and find the most important. And so that's what this is all about. So, all right, so you got the 98.85 that fail. Why? You got the 0.15 that succeed. I'm just showing this to you in a different way so you can see inside of my head as to the way I view things. What were the sub-components? In other words, what were the trickle-down things? What did they do? Okay, they had a framework. Each one of them had a framework. For that much of a statistic, there's a framework that's working underneath it. So what did the people who couldn't lose weight, what did they do? What did the ones did? What did they do? What did they do to create it? Now I have the big question. And this is the one where Fred and Ian just smile at me. How does math choose which side of that statistic you're on?
Good point.
I had some guy comment, and he said, I'm a programmer for network marketing compensation plans. It's a statistical absolute that 99% are going to fail. And I just replied back, who chooses that statistic? Who chooses to be 1%? Who chooses to be 99%? No reply. Okay, so talk to you about weight loss. So over here, I knew what the 99.5% did because I tried all of it. All of it. I'll tell you exactly what they do. Number one is they're going to tell you to exercise 3 to 5 days a week. They're going to tell you that your calories need to be 500 below your basal metabolic rate per day. And after 7 days, that's going to give you 3,500 calories, and that is equal to 1 pound of fat. And so you're going to lose 1 pound per week if you reduce your calories by 500. Okay? That's what they tell you. And then they tell you to jockey your protein, carbs, and fats between those numbers right there. I went through at least 100 programs, and that's all they do. You can call them all kind of different diets. They have gorgeous, sexy names. They have gorgeous, sexy men on the covers. They have, you know, like 18-year-old boys telling that men over 50 can do it. All this stuff. But that's all they do. Those things. Well, that didn't work for this butter boy. Okay? I wasn't lacking discipline. I could eat a head of lettuce and like run all day. Not run my bike. Or swim. It didn't work. I only got fatter. Okay? I had a loss and then it came right back. Okay? So Deanna did this clinical trial, and she didn't invite me as a part of it because that wasn't fat enough for her. Fat enough for me. And so I happened to be on the conference call of it going on, the clinical trial. And so I heard something, and I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. How does supplements come into play? With that, it doesn't. And so you would have to assume, let me ask you guys a question. This is crazy. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so let's take a shot glass of water. Okay? You drink the shot glass of water, how many calories are in it?
0.
0. Okay, let's take a shot glass of soda. Okay? Let's say it has 100 calories in it. Okay? I drink it. Does it have a different effect of water other than the calories?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's it going to affect?
Insulin?
Come on, your blood sugar, there you go. Insulin, blood sugar. Okay, let's put a shot of tequila in there. Let's throw it down. Does it have a different effect other than calories? What does it do?
As fat. Still calories. It's going to add
Good
Makes you
night.
dance better, doesn't it? So what did I just teach you? That all foods that taste different to your tongue have a different effect in your body. It triggers hormone activity. And so these people ignore that there's even an endocrine system in your body, a hormone system.
Right.
They ignore that. It's just a calorie. It all just comes down into this big boiler, and it manufactures production, and that's all there is to it, and there ain't no more. Wrong. Okay, so I took this study that they were doing that nutrition had something to do with it. I wasn't a part of the trial. But it triggered me to say, something ain't right. Either they're rigging this thing or something, man. So I dug into all these studies. In 60 days, no exercise, I did that. 60
Nice.
more days, I did that. And I was only doing body weight. Okay? And I'm still at that weight. And
Nice.
that's 5 years ago.
Dang.
Not me. No, thank you, but it's not me. Okay, I'm going to show you something. All right, so my research and discovery took 2 years because I'm like one of those ethical freaks, and I wouldn't promote something that I myself didn't believe in and didn't validate. So I had to do this. Even though I believed Indiana, I needed to find it for myself as to how it could possibly work. So I got a Facebook ad running. I recruited 24 people I didn't know off a Facebook ad, and I brought them into a webinar 2 nights a week. I had them buy the clinical pack. Okay, the 3X clinical pack is what we called it. And by the way, where is that real fat guy? You see the blue shirt guy, the guy next to him? Schwartz, that's right. Hey, if I showed mine, man, I got to show yours too. Okay. So in 60 days, the average weight loss is 26.7 pounds. I lost 28 pounds in the same time frame. So the average of all of these, did you hear what I said? The average, nobody ever shows you the average. They hide that average like, look at this person, they lost weight. Look at this person, they lost weight. Forget the 100,000 that didn't. I'm showing you the average weight loss, and these are not spring chickens, okay? I mean, that guy right there is like really old. So, easy. So the minimum age was 40 years old, and it went all the way up to 65, okay? And the average weight loss is 26.7 pounds in 60 days with no exercise. Now, according to statistics, I would need 210 people to have one lose weight.
Wow.
So how in the world did that happen? The odds of success are so ridiculous. Why would you even try?
Yeah.
Isn't that an epiphany? Isn't that one of those things that blows your circuits? Right? It's like, what? How can that happen? And it's repeated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again since that day. And the same with money. All right? So math does not choose who is on which side of the statistic. You do.
That's right.
You figure out the subcomponents. Okay, so it took me 2 years to validate everything and to prove it. It took these guys 60 days because they followed a proven formula. They didn't have to invent it. They didn't have to do R&D. They just followed my lead. You're welcome. My honor, sir. Okay, so what'd you learn from that? Okay, 100% lost weight, despite the odds were 99.53% that you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Does odds have anything to do with it?
Nope.
Nope.
No. Maybe in Vegas,
Yeah.
not in business. Okay, so why? Because they followed the exact step-by-step formula that yielded consistent winners. That's why. So this guy that responded in a comment and said, I program for network marketing comp plans. It is an exact, there's no debate. And so, since he didn't reply to my other one, I got an idea, and I'm like, okay, so if it's a mathematical certainty that only 0.15 succeed in network marketing, what are the statistical odds of somebody doing it twice? One in a million. How could I do it twice
Yeah.
if it's a mathematical formula? I created $1 million a year residually 2 times.
Wow.
How could it be a mathematical certainty? it has to be something else involved, right?
Yep.
Okay, so math does not choose where you are on this scale. Okay? You choose which subcomponents you're going to follow. That's what you choose. And that's why I said, it's like you paid me $1 million to spend 3 hours with me, and I'm going to like reprogram you. Okay? That's what I was talking about. Okay. So here are those statistics that I talked about. This is each state. It's $380,000 on average, represents 1%. So goal number 1 is just become a 1%er in your state. Okay? So in RX, there are 57 millionaires in 7 years.
Nice.
57 millionaires in 7 years. So the next time somebody says, do you make money? Under what standards are you even saying that? Compare that to Procter & Gamble. Compare that to Microsoft. Compare that to Apple. Compare that to Oracle. Compare that to any corporate, to Amazon. I'm not talking about shareholders. I'm talking about their employees. How many of them did that? 5,401 people in 7 years average $250,000 a year.
Wow.
Who does that? RX, that's right. Woo! So when people say, do you make money? I just laugh. I go, no, you're talking about some statistic thing. You're not talking about real people. Because nobody compares. Here's what I'm most excited about, okay? So that gold area, that's my level. I'm level 2. There's 34 other people that are at that level. That would be like me being the CEO of a company and having 35 other CEOs. Or chairman, whatever you call them. But there are 11 people 1 level above me. There's 7 people 2 levels above me. There's 6 people that are 3 levels above me, all the way up to level 8.
Dang.
They're above me, even though they're in my downline. Right? So there you are. There's the whole break off. I think Ian would probably choke if he knew I showed everybody that. Okay, so you've been told that recruiting is evil. Okay, you'll see it in social media. People will make a comment. Facebook will terminate your ads if you say MLM in your ads or something like that. And I always scratch my head because how do businesses find other people? Delta Airlines, 86,000 employees. How do they get them? Okay, so they got somebody in human relations, right? And they, what? Run ads? Hire and recruit, okay? So right over here, under one of the 7 major functions of the Human Resources Department is recruit. So it's, the only debate is whether or not you pay a salary or you pay a commission. That's the only debate. That's the only difference. So whenever somebody says, you're just trying to recruit other people, say you're right. Just as every other business does, but not just business. When a church wants a preacher, what do they have to do?
Recruit.
They got to recruit a preacher. When a preacher wants deacons in his church, what's he got to do?
Recruit.
He recruits from the warm market. Right? Okay. So it's not evil to recruit, okay? They're, like every one of this, how do you find a spouse?
That's a different story.
Match.com. Sure.
You recruit. Can it be from the warm market? No. Does it have to be from the warm market?
No.
No, there's apps today. Right? So, okay. You guys get this whole idea? So the whole thing is that it's just whether it's you're going to make an employer or an independent contractor.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that. But I just want you to get very, very clear that recruiting people is not evil. Everybody has to do it. Everybody. The Unabomber is the only person that I've ever known of that didn't need to do that. And thank goodness he didn't. Okay, so, all right, so this is one of my favorites. I got a Facebook message off of one of my videos that I did, and he said, quote, "Tim, there surely must be something wrong with network marketing. If a company pays their top 200 distributors through their annual bonus scheme, I know it's like, it doesn't make sense, but this is, I gave it to you verbatim. Bonus scheme can end up with $1 million to $2 million payments. What skills, value add do these people bring to the company? Some are in their 70s. Can you please explain how the MLM industry lets this happen?" If there, you've seen that emoji that's rolling on the ground laughing? That was me, okay? Like, he can't figure this out. He's obviously a stock investor in Herbalife. And he hated that they were giving away so much money. Okay, so way back when Mr. Hughes created this thing, and it was a bonus. A bonus. And he said if you maintain your volumes, then you're going to get, the top group is going to get a bonus every year that your volumes are at that level. And he just keeps on paying it, even though he's dead. He keeps paying that. And it aggravates the investors. Because they're making, like, just picture 200 people who are getting $1 to $2 million bonuses. Okay? Why? Because they created the volume, and the volume keeps happening, so they keep getting paid. I hope you memorized the way I described that, because you will say that thing 1,000 times.
Say it again, please.
If you create the volume, you keep getting paid every year that volume is still there. Okay? That ain't normal. That ain't corporate America. Okay? Because I sent this guy a message and I said, "Thank you so much for your question. I will create a video and let you know when it's posted."
Yeah.
And here's the video I shot for him. So I said, okay, so let's pretend for a minute that you are Procter & Gamble. Okay, so all of you are CEOs of Procter & Gamble. And I come to you as a sales rep. And I say, please give me a job. I've got the most incredible history. Okay, so I was the #1 top seller in my company in the last one. I orchestrated a sales team. I reorientated a whole division in this company. Please hire me. And then you say to me, okay. But first, need to know something. Do you need a salary?
Right.
Oh, yes, that would be nice. That would be nice. For the sales cycles that the person goes through. So who am I asking to cover my butt when I'm not producing? I'm asking the company to cover my butt when I'm not producing. People come to me wanting a job. And I say, are you good in sales? I'm the best. Are you? Will you take straight commission? No. I just take their resume and I rip it, throw it in the trash can. I say, you just lied on that piece of paper. Because if you truly believed in your abilities, you would never take a salary. Because a salary comes with a contract. And in that contract, you do not have rights to any future sales that you created. So you hire me, I go out and I go walking into 7-Eleven and I go, oh wow, this place needs toothpaste, it needs hairspray, it needs all these things. Hey, can I talk to your manager? And he puts me into the manager. And then I talk to the manager, and the manager, and I sell him on taking Procter & Gamble products. And then the manager says, you know what, I need to call corporate. This is a good idea. And so he calls corporate, and I'm now in the big table. And I present to 7-Eleven and say, you know, you can get this at a discount. This is going to be your margins, blah, 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 blah. And then I get the job. I get it. I get the deal. So Procter & Gamble is going to pay me my salary to cover my butt when I don't produce. In that contract, it says you have no rights to future commissions. So I might get a bonus and I might get to keep my job next year. But Procter & Gamble will receive $9 billion profits for years and years and years and years. Salary labor is the cheapest labor next to slavery. You guys see this picture? Do not ever forget this. This is the big deal. People ask me, what's my favorite video? That video. Because it really reveals how corporate America takes advantage of the salespeople, and they say you got a secure job, but they'll fire you like that. They don't give you any upside potential. That's the reason these guys own a city block. That building is ginormous. It's because the sales reps went out, created the sales, and they get to keep getting it every single year. But the sales rep got a commission, and as soon as he got a little bit old, they gave him a watch and let him go. And so when I back up a slide and I show you, some are in their 70s. They earned it.
Yep.
They earned it. Okay, so so I'm sitting on an airplane. You guys have just got to picture this. I'm sitting on an airplane. I just sat down. I'm starting to read, laying out all my stuff, and this guy on the cell phone, he's really loud, okay, obnoxiously loud. He's talking about that he just acquired his company and that he's trying to figure out, he's come to the best conclusion that the best is to offer this sales rep, one of the top guys that was in the company, to offer this top guy a 2+1. That's what he named it. And that meant $200,000 in salary, $100,000 in bonus per year. So I'm hearing this conversation, right? And I'm just going about my stuff. I mean, the whole airplane heard this conversation. I don't know. I wasn't eavesdropping, okay? But he's in my space, right? I'm talking about my profession. I'm enormously curious. I'm just fascinated with people. I'm fascinated with all the businesses. I love to make everything simple. And people hate that about me. Because it exposes everything. You know, it's like, you know, it is real, okay? So we got off the phone, and he got off the phone. I didn't want to interrupt him. We're taking off and all this stuff, and so I figured that there'd be a time somewhere along this flight. It was from Michigan to Salt Lake, and I just figured we'd find some kind of a time. And so he happened to have, he had an Apple, and it was plugged in, and I happened to notice that when his leg swung out, he unplugged it. And I knew that just in a couple of minutes, his screen would dim. And he would know something went wrong. And then he's going to start looking. Okay? That's why you don't want to be in combat with me. And so I'm sitting there, and I noticed it go dim, right? And so I look over and I go, oh man, your plug came undone. And so I reach over and I help him. I plug it in. Okay, so that was the greeting. It's the first part of the greeting. Okay? And so I just started talking. I said, yeah, I was on a flight over to UK and mine didn't work. And so I got real familiar with how you got to jiggle it a certain way. And so he just kind of was talking and he said, you know, what do you do? And I said, I build sales teams. And so it just kind of went back and forth. We're just powwowing. And I said, I couldn't help but overhear that you just acquired a company and you were talking about a sales rep salary, or compensation is the way I said it. He goes, yeah. And I said, I'm curious about something. Why do you pay him a salary? And he said, well, that's just kind of the standard out there. And I said, but doesn't that expose you to that the person has a weakness? And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, well, who's got to cover it when he's not making enough sales to generate that $200,000 in commission? Who's covering that? And he goes, well, I am. So who's really the salesman here? He's like, who are you? He goes, man, like, I've been in business for the last 30 years and I've never heard this. What do you do? And I said, I build sales teams. I told you. And he goes, can I hire you? And I go, that's too expensive. Because I only work on commission. And he goes, no, really. And so I broke down this pipeline for him. And I just showed him every step of it. And I said, when somebody has an uncertainty, a lack of certainty, then they are unable to that degree. So you have to drill this until they can't do it wrong. He goes, I have to hire you. And I said, you really can't hire me because I get paid a lot of money. And I got equity too. So I took that off the table and then I just kept educating him about this. And he said, well, how do you do this? And how do you handle that? And blah, 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 blah. And I said, if they quit, let them. Because they lack a certainty. They have some certain, like I prefer to help instead of fire. But find out where in the funnel they break down and help them. And he said, I've been sitting here thinking while you were talking that I started out and I went to IBM and I had a salary plus commission. And then each new job that I went to, I would request less and less salary and more commission. And then I became an owner. And I said, that's the exact sequence. So is it risk tolerance? So if you look at Entrepreneur Magazine, they're going to tell you that entrepreneurship takes a certain kind of risky mindset. No, it's a certainty mindset.
That's right.
Are you certain that you can generate a lead? Are you certain that you can contact? Are you certain you can set an appointment? Are you certain you can convince somebody in a presentation? Are you certain about following up? Then when you get that customer, you get to serve them, they give you money. When you lack certainty in any of these categories, you want entitlement. I hope Rick isn't here. All right, so now you get the real scene here and why I love this thing so much. Okay? So, what the heck is network marketing then? Tim, you've stripped everything I thought about this industry, so what is network marketing? I'm glad you asked. So over here is any corporation you want to name. You can say Apple, you can say Amazon, you can say anybody up there, okay? And this over here is network marketing. And over here, you're going to have executives like Fred and Mark and Riley and Jeff and all of them, right? And they're going to come out with some policies within their company, and they're going to create some products and services, and then they're going to hire employees to facilitate a lot of things, right? And so on the marketing side, they're going to create an offer. And so the offer is salary, no upside potential. In network marketing, everything's the same except no salary, you get upside potential. So when you go to market, your products. Over here, they're going to hire Tiger Woods and pay him $200 million, or Durant, or whoever you want to name it. They're going to pay a whole lot of money, and they're going to go the route to run commercials. Or they come over here and they say, okay, so we can, if our sales reps can differentiate this product from another juice. They can differentiate it. There's not enough real estate here on this little tiny label to differentiate. And so it's better to use network marketing when you need to differentiate how this product is different than Monster. You get the idea?
Yep.
And so when people are willing to do that, and that's where network marketing is the sweet spot. You can sell anything here, but it is the sweet spot. Okay, so this is when you choose network marketing. So that's the difference, guys. It's that there's no potential here, but you get a salary. There's upside potential here of what you create. The whole thing that I just explained about Procter & Gamble, this is the difference. That's the only difference there is. It's not that we pay on multiple levels, because many companies pay their sales managers for commissions that they get off of other people. Okay, so it's not multi-level that defines us. It's not how we do it that defines us. We get the upside potential. That's it. I know. It took me 30 years to figure this out, and it took you 2 hours. All right, so let me just explain the whole combat zone. This right here, there's 6 anti-network marketers out there. 6, I know them all. What they do is that they write anti-stuff. They put it onto the platforms, the media platforms. And so you're going to have newspapers, infographics, blogs, television, social media, and videos out there. What do these people, and that's where these phrases come from. So they create these emotional words that create antagonism and horror. Scam, cult, all these kind of words, and it creates an emotion in somebody that sticks them to it. It's just like if you saw a car crash and you rubberneck over and you look at it, you're wondering if somebody's head's rolling down the street. I don't know why, but people have to like turn around and look. And so it's the same thing. It creates this sticky emotion. And so that's the reason that they use these things, even though what I just showed you, factually, it isn't even happening. But all these phrases are out there. Why do these people put that out there? Eyeballs. They want traffic. Okay? They want traffic. That's all that it is. Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, I don't care what organization you're talking about, you show me you show me an article that's negative, and I will show you why they want to run it. There's over 100 million people in North America in network marketing. That's a lot of eyeballs. And so if you write something, insider secrets of how MLM people make millions. You guys see that? They were attacking, what's that company? It's a UK article. Who is that? Unique. They were attacking Unique and Nu Skin. And so it was like that her name was Ellie or something like that. And I just mopped her across the floor. You call that inside investigation? It's on their website. That's not insider information. You said the insider information was they recruit. Who doesn't? Okay, so now you see my world and how I have fun laughing at people. Okay. All right, so the next part of this, so now you understand what? You understand the way Tim Sales views network marketing. I don't quasi-think that it's uncool. I don't quasi-think that I'm going to get smacked. I don't quasi-think that somebody has some secret that I don't know. I know this industry. I know it. And now you do too. You may have to drill this a few times, but now you know it.
Nice.
You don't have to apologize.
Nice.
You can stand bold with your chin up and your chest high.
Nice.
Yeah? You should. Okay, so if you want to drill in and say, how did Tim do that? Network Marketing Power YouTube channel. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask you guys, when you go in and you watch a video, comment. I didn't say clickbait it. I said comment. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, if you guys, there is no, I see no competition in network marketing. I see none. And here's why. Because Google is our biggest competitor. Because they rank the anti-people higher because the anti-people link to each other. And so it's the comments that shift the algorithm in YouTube. And so if there's a lot of engagement, then it'll shift the algorithm over. So what I'm trying to do is to push the anti-MLM stuff down to page 2 of Google. You know, that's where you hide, that's where you hide dead bodies, right? Some of you might have not heard that, but page 2 is where you hide dead bodies because nobody ever goes to page 2 of Google. Okay, so if we can get them down to page 2. Now, so what I mean by don't clickbait it, don't say, it's so great working with Tim Sales, the top of my company, or something like that, my friend, or whatever. Don't clickbait that stuff. Just sit down and say, okay, what did I used to believe? What do I now believe because of this video? And write it. You know, and then just say, thanks for clearing this up for me. Because you writing it is going to have all the right words that's going to rank. Right? And so, and the reason I say we're not in competition to other companies is because we don't want to just steal other people from other companies. That's not this game. We have to do organic growth. Okay? This industry, you know, like this, I don't know if you guys saw me punching this guy, Dan Locke. But
Yep.
he says you're not an entrepreneur, you don't create jobs. The idea is not to create jobs.
Yep.
The idea is to create income.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, this guy's never done anything in business, I can tell, right? So it doesn't make any sense to me the way he says that. And so I'm not worried about other companies at all. Once you really know what to look for in network marketing, and there's no training on how to choose a company, once you know what to look for and you evaluate all the pieces in the right priorities, in other words, what do you look at first, what do you look at second, and all those things, if you do that right, you're going to conclude RX.
Yep.
You just got to.
Yep.
So I'm not worried. We're not in competition with any other company. We're in competition with the antis, just so that we can get that stuff out of the world and drive up the truth on what network marketing is. Okay, so good, thank you. And also on Facebook, Network Marketing Power, Facebook, Instagram, wherever else my wife has put me. Okay, so number 2, reps secretly believe that they can't do network marketing. Okay, and I know this because the way people come and ask for me to pay them. They asked me to pay them to join. Deals. Jeanette's. Deals. Corporate. Things like that, right? So that's how I know that. And reps secretly believe that they can't train a team. Okay, that's the truth. I find it many, many times. So I'm going to run through this. This is going to be real quick. But there's the law of every organization. And Laura, she is kind of like that third eye that views things not from my world that I sit for so long in, but she helps me. And so if I wanted to find the greatest wife in the world, what do I do? I have to generate a lead, right? And then I have to contact that girl. And then I have to set an appointment, take her to dinner, whatever. And then I got to present myself, but not too arrogantly, right? And then I got to follow up unless she said, dinner's over. And then if that was the case, then I'd have to generate another lead. But if that wasn't the case, then I'm going to follow up by her. How do I follow up? Well, I'm going to contact her. I'm going to set another appointment. I'm going to do another presentation. And I'm going to do that as long as I have to until I get the girl of my dreams. You see that?
Yep.
Does everybody see? I just taught you how to find the person of your dreams.
Oh,
So
there we
let's
go.
say that you are a politician. What do you need? Voters to vote for you. So you got to generate a lead. You got to contact that person, even if you follow them all around the internet. You got to set an appointment for them to look at what you stand for, and then you got to do a presentation. You got to follow up with them, and you keep on doing that. How does a church get a congregation? Okay, so maybe they create a postcard and they generate leads in the community. That's the first method. And they're going to basically tell you about something that they're going to do and some topic they're going to talk on or something like that, and they're going to keep on sending it. And if they know their business, they're going to send that postcard 3 times. And so then, then once you get the congregation in there, they're going to move to kind of like number 2, and that is invite your friends. We will have a barbecue. And blah, 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 blah. And so you get the idea.
Yep.
Everything does this.
Yep.
Right.
So don't think that you're some kind of bad person because you do this. Everybody has to do this. It's either you're good at it or you work for a company that does it.
Yep.
That's all there is. So might as well get good at it.
Yep.
This is the curriculum. This is what blew that guy who's sitting next to me out of the water. He couldn't believe how simple it is that he had been in business for this long, and this is all that there was. And I said, dude, I'll give you everything. I know you don't have to hire me. You know, okay. So as we look at the curriculum, this is generating leads. This is contacting, and so there's things that we've got to do in here. There's ways that you can present, and there's follow-ups. And the follow-up, as I just described, is just basically doing this thing over and over. And you heard it mentioned, but maybe you didn't understand what it is. It's the inviting formula. It's how you invite someone to look at something. And so we're going to go into that in just a second. Well, in fact, let me just run through it real quick. So if you're looking under contact, you see greet, qualify, invite, close to action. That's what CTA stands for, close to action. So you generated a lead over here, and then you're going to contact them. It may be on telephone. It may be on Messenger. It may be on WhatsApp. It may be on WeChat. It may be in messages. It may be in Skype. Did I miss one? Yeah. TikTok. You know, like all of them. It doesn't matter how, because the process is the same. The template is the same. Okay? So you're going to first greet the person. I'm going to drill into this in a minute, but you're going to greet the person. You're going to qualify what they need and want and see if you can help them. If they have a need or a want that you can help them with, then you're going to invite, but you don't invite until then. I can circle around at any social event for hours, days, months, years, if it was that long of an event. And I could greet and qualify everybody in the room. I never need to invite. And that is the professionalism of when you have arrived at being able to have utter confidence is when you know that. That's the certainty. You know, my dad was a craftsman, and he worked on wood. And there's something, anybody ever know a real wood craftsman?
Yes.
Good, okay. So you get the idea of this person, yeah. Okay, you get this idea of the person. And when my dad rolled up to a house, he wasn't wondering about what to do. All he was curious about is, you know, like he knew what to walk into the house with. You know what I mean? Like if you're new, then you're like, okay, let's see, I might need this, and so you show up to the door, right? And then you look inside the house and you're like, hang on a minute. You run back, right? So what is a craftsman? What is the master of any craft? He squeezes out all inefficiencies and he just becomes super pinpoint efficient.
Mm-hmm.
That is a master of something. They've squeezed out all unnecessary actions. Okay? So when you really know Greek qualified and by the whole formula, when you really know that thing, then you just walk around and talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
You exchange business cards, I don't even do business cards anymore. I just say here, and I hand them my phone, I say, put your contact in.
Yep.
Send me a text, and then send yourself a text. Please send a picture back to me so I know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these names come up. So that's the way that I do it. That's the way I work, a room, if you will. And I'm not just looking for somebody who needs to lose weight. I'm not just looking for somebody who needs money, but I'm also just looking for great people.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometime or another, it's the people that you know. That's what's going to save everything. And so I like great people in my life.
Yep.
And if I can help that person do something that's outside of me making a profit, I want to help them. And so I become a switchboard for everybody that I can help, okay? So, now, this is probably the greatest craftsman thing that I can show you. I'm very efficient. This is what I look for when I'm talking to anybody. If they answered an ad, if I meet them at a fundraiser or something. So number one, I don't invite everybody. In an event on an airplane, I never invite anybody. I'm more strategic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm finding out, do they need to lose weight? Yeah, I can see that. Do they want to lose weight? That's what I want to find out. And if they say something like, okay, so when I'm in a big business environment, I'll say I build sales teams. When I'm in an environment to where it has to do with somebody who's not a business person, then I say I help older men lose weight. The way I say it. So if the person says I need to lose weight, I say, do you want to lose weight? And he kind of looks at me and goes, what's the difference? And I said, I need to might mean that you've needed to for several years and you don't want to. And I said, if you're ready, then I can help you. So that's the way I kind of like differentiate that with the person. And so when they say, oh yeah, I say, you ready? Yeah. All right, good. Then we can talk. What have you tried in the past? I don't go into what I have. I've got to assess the data. I want to find out what that guy's capabilities or vulnerabilities are. I need to find them out. What have you tried before? Why didn't it work? Things like that. Okay? So, but here's the deal. Here's what I'm looking for. Number one is life force. That's the number one thing that I'm looking for. What's life force? You ever walk through a hospital, like you're heading somewhere, and you look into the different doors or the different rooms, right? You can see some people, even though they might be on their dying bed, they're full of life. Yeah, you can see it, right? But you can see others that they already died, but they're still there. You see what I'm saying? Like, and it's not cutting anybody down. It's just there are people who their body has aged, but they still have their full spirit. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about when I say life force. Do they have an excuse manufacturing machine that has driven them down to where they have no life because they have nothing but excuses? That's what I'm looking for. If they have an excuse manufacturing machine, I can't sponsor them. I do not have enough hours in my lifetime to handle them because they just keep producing more. Excuses. Training, interest. I already talked about that. And then alignment with my journey. Okay? My favorite people are people who love to help other people. That's my journey. It's what I'm on. Okay? So that's the highest level person that I want to work with. So if they want to help other people make money, if they want to help other people get healthy, then man, it's my peeps, you know, like I want to work with that guy. Okay, so that's the way that I do it. Presentations, wherever you want to present, videos or whatever it is. All right. So some of you have seen these slides, some of you are brand new, so I'm going to run through these real quick. But to me, lead gen is, it's a big, heavy conversation for a lot of people. But if I can just get you to see this one idea, there's so many people on earth. If you think in a limited supply, then you need to pull up from the keyboard. Okay, like you're too dialed in, because you can. There's just so many people, and they're so accessible. I've never seen a better time to build network marketing than right now. I can't believe when people act as though that it was easier back then. You know, like maybe 1 out of 1,000 of my friends had a fax machine.
Wow.
And you know, fax machines were smoking hot things. Give me a break. Nobody was dialed in. Nobody's plugged in. They didn't have social media. So I run 127 different advertisements to just do one thing, find 3. I want to find the 3 top producing out of the 126. When I find those 3, Arlene, don't you dare copy these. I'm joking. She always like screenshots and then run the ad right next to mine. I'm like, Arlene, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I drive from there. I go to, this is what I call my pipeline profits. And so this has a whole bunch of cards on it. It's an electronic board, and these are imitation. They're regular cards, but they're electronic. And so I just drag these cards. So this is generate leads, this is contact, this is set appointment, this is presentations, this is follow up. Okay? So I'm just dragging cards. My entire business is on this Trello board. Okay? That's the way that I function on a day-to-day. But it doesn't stop there. Do you see up there at the top it says sponsored and there's an arrow that way? I keep going. And I have a logistics category. So what's logistics? I got to get them signed up. I got to teach them about the gold. I got to teach them about the ultimate pack. I got to teach them about all these different things, right? So that's a column that I get them through, and then I move them to the next step. What's the next step? I got to get there 4. Right? And then I move them to the next step, director. I keep on moving that person. Why? Because I have a vision. There's a big boardroom table. Okay? I'm sitting at the end. And I want to fill up those spots. I want 12 chairmen that I sponsored. And we're a unit, we're a team. And I train them everything that I know. I'm not going to hold back anything. I'm going to train them until they can't do it wrong. I'm going to be willing to go into combat with them because they'll save my butt. That kind of devotion to each other. Right? And if I do that, then I will build an exponential residual income for life. For them. And I get a little piece. You get this idea?
Yep.
So when you go out recruiting, have the vision of what you want. Because you can attract. All right, so I'm pushing them along, and I'm trying to get them the seat at that boardroom table. Okay? And so I go all the way out to chairman. And if you haven't seen how these things work, it's just moving a card. You just click and drag the card over to the next column. And so that's why my whole business is just on that one thing right there. So you open one of the cards. If you were to click on one of these cards, then it has like all the information. So contact information, Facebook account, any of that stuff, but I normally don't fill any of that stuff in except for however I'm communicating with that person. I'm going to wait until they pass the follow-up stage. Okay, I'm not going to fill in a whole bunch of stuff and track the person until I know where they are. because I wasted a lot of time putting stuff in there. Okay, so by the way, if you want this, you can go to Pipeline Profits. It's free. There's a video that that will explain what I need you to do, because you're basically going to take my board and you're going to make a copy of it. You're welcome. If you go into here and you're just playing around with it, you're moving everybody's board. Okay? Make a copy of it. Okay? It's like so aggravating because you're like putting your prospects in. You know, like somebody like found somebody at Costco or something like that, and they're like, I was looking at it this morning and I'm going, oh my gosh. I said make a copy. So anyway, it's kind of funny. I'm going to be filling in training inside of here. Okay, I got to share with you guys something, and I hope you spread the word across the RX family. If there's a time where I charge something, don't buy it. Because you're going to get it for free inside the box. Yeah. I imagine Rick Billings is going to create a sales funnel that basically explains that to everybody. Don't, Rick. Okay? Get Tim's training for free. Yeah. Okay, because this takes a lot of work, a lot of money to do all of these things, and so I have employees and things like that that have to run these circumstances, and so if I charge something, just know that you'll get it in the box. Okay, so after I set an appointment, I then do Zooms. That's all I do. Okay, Zooms, more Zooms, Zoom. Why? I don't have to sit at the coffee shop wondering if they're going to come. I have the thing set up with my camera off. Don't forget to do that. Bad mistakes. I have my camera off, and then I hear ding-dong when they enter. I'm like, oh, I stand up, I turn around, turn my camera on, go, hi. Okay, and I talk. Each one of my calls different. I just talk to people. I find out, who are you? What do you want? What's your dream? What difficulty have you had getting to that dream? Why is it a barrier right now? That's what I'm asking. Okay? And so I sponsor people who have Life Force, don't have an excuse manufacturing machine, and they're along with my journey. I sponsor these people, and I stack. I just stack. All right? Everybody understand that?
Yep.
So one goes under another, that goes under another, that goes under another, and goes under another. And so then what I'm waiting for is that person to turn on and start seeing that it's just a pipeline. And you just got to do number one. And so I'm going to set a minimum standard of about 5. I want you to generate 5 leads, and I want you to push them through the pipeline. I want you to tell me your outcome. Okay? If they won't meet the minimum standard, I don't work with them. Everybody get that?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you won't do 5 leads, then you don't really want to be in business. Okay, so, well, Fred, doggone it, he pays me on my weaker side. Okay, so this organization over here versus this one over here, he's paying me a percentage of this side. I'm like, Fred, why don't you pay me on the bigger side? And he goes, you'd never work the smaller side. I will, I promise. And so I work the weaker side until somebody finishes.
Oh.
But now Fred's paying me 15% of that one. Fred. And so I just stack. All of you who are from New Charity, all of you from Limu, get the picture. You do the pipeline. All the yeses, they go straight down the line. For now. Lock in $150,000 a year. Because when you optimize 2 lines, you're going to make $150,000 a year.
Nice.
Get that locked in. Don't try to strategically do everything perfect. It ain't perfect. That's Fred's whole plan. Okay? It's so random. the house wins. Okay? So the odds of you placing it just perfect are impossible. And Fred knows that. So here's the best way to build.
Yep.
Build until it finishes. Now you've locked in 150 grand a year. All right.
Nice.
Done. $150,000 a year. Good. Go build it again. That's the game. Now you know that you can do network marketing. It's just a pipeline stacked until somebody finishes it. That's the game. Okay? Reps secretly believe that they can't train a team. I'm about to train you out of that idea. Okay? So they're attempting to motivate. And you guys know how I feel about motivation. Okay, so why? Because they're not doing the pipeline. Guys, you're going to think that I don't know, but I promise you I do know. I know that feeling of generating a lead for the first time. Oh my gosh, it's so chaotic. It's all over the place. What am I going to say? What am I going to send them to? And the upline, are you standing by? Just in case I click over and get a three-way. You got all this noise. That's the inefficiency of an unprepared carpenter. You've got to go through that experience.
Yes.
That's part of it. If you feel like that, you're doing good. That's called you're stepping outside of the comfort zone and you're getting into the difficult zone. And that is growth, and it's the only thing that you're ever going to be. You have to do that.
Yes.
Okay? So, I've been retired for 18 years. How'd you think my first phone calls went? I'm like, did I really sell my business? Like, did I really just join? I got no, oh my gosh, I am really rusty. I sound horrible. You know, do you know Stefan actually asked me? He goes, are you trying to recruit me, buddy? No, not at all, man. In other words, I sucked. And I laughed about it because I knew this position. And this is the greatest thing I should be doing because I'm growing. And that's what I wanted to do. I was done with retirement. It sucks too. Okay, so after sign up, set standards. Get the new reps to that standard in each column. Everybody got that?
Yep.
You can't do that if you aren't doing it. You can't get them to that standard because they're going to ask you, well, how do I generate a lead? How do I contact them? What do I say on that call? They're going to be asking you these questions. And so you have to go out there and just go dark for a little while and just recruit like crazy. Just do the pipeline, do the pipeline, do the pipeline. Find your efficiencies. Get it all dialed in. Just start dragging people across the board, talking to people, blowing phone calls, you know, getting people mad at you. All these things, do it. It's part of it.
Yes.
It's a game.
True.
That's right.
Okay? And then you're going to get real efficient. It's just going to be smooth. Okay? So then raise the standard. Okay, so you get them to a standard. Let's say 5. Generate 5 leads, push them through, phone. Then raise the standard, go to 10. Go to 20. Go to 30. Okay? I've never seen an elite team in my life that doesn't do this. Sports teams, football teams, basketball teams, wrestling teams, jiu-jitsu teams, SEAL teams, everybody does this. I'm teaching you how to be the most elite network marketing company there is.
Nice.
Let us suppose for just a moment that every one of us in the next 60 days got to where we were able to push 20 prospects per day across the pipeline. We would triple RX in the USA.
Yep.
That's all we got to do.
Yep.
So when RX isn't growing in the United States, some people may be confused. And you will never be confused again. Because when they would pay me to come into a company and consult them, this is all I told them.
Yep.
They pay me a lot of money for what you just got.
Nice.
Okay? So that's all it is. How did that font mess up that much? I've never seen a font change the name of something. It says Elite Teams. Okay?
Elite teams.
That's awesome. Okay. All right, so you must do the pipeline. Number one is the law of expansion in every organization.
Yeah.
Nothing else builds your business. Doing the pipeline is how you get a team. So every anti-network marketer on the internet or anywhere else is telling you what they didn't do. Because John Taylor, who wrote that document that ends up on the FTC website somehow, he worked Nu Skin for 1 year to see what it was like. Okay? And he spent the rest of his life trying to prove that it was the problem.
Wow.
Never even knowing that there was a pipeline going on behind the scenes. Okay, so doing the pipeline is how you get a team. Doing the pipeline teaches you what to train your team.
Yep.
People who can't or won't do the pipeline don't recruit because they're afraid somebody will join.
Oh.
You know how many people have told me this?
Sure.
But Tim, I don't have any success. Why would somebody want to join me? Okay, what Stefan didn't tell you is that when I listened to his calls, he did technically everything right, but he didn't have any belief in himself. And you can't fix that
Right.
until you do.
Yeah.
So I just had him keep on calling because he was saying the right words, but he had no absolute certainty that he could help the person that he brought in
Right.
until he did, because he'd gone through the pipeline enough times that he would. Well, the law of averages just somehow it came in his favor, and somebody joined, and he's like, "What? you want? Okay, right?" And then he sponsored another, and maybe they were luck, but it convinced him that he could do it. And once he had that certainty, then he was bringing people in, and guess what? He was then teaching them how to do. Generate leads, contact people. Well, the same thing. You see that cycle?
Yep.
It's so simple once you see this thing for real. And so then he started killing it. And then guess what he calls me? Buddy, none of my people are duplicating. Of course you're going to say that. Because you recruited some wrong people. Right? So now you guys see the whole process. Okay? All right. Your insistence that each of your team members do the pipeline is how you earn respect. This is not a friendship business. They're here to make money. But be friendly about it. Let's stop this silly game in network marketing called I'll pretend to train you, you pretend to work, and we'll blame the company.
Oh.
Okay? So, I mean, it's time to be real.
It's true.
Okay? Like some of the Limu people were talking, they were saying, you guys are real. It's not hype, it's this. Yeah, we are. Even this one. So, hard training is a solemn duty of a leader. If you want to call yourself a leader, it's because you train until they can't do it wrong. You prepare your people for combat. You prepare your people for what they're going into and going to experience. Right? That's what you're doing. Hard training is how you take care of your team. You do not take care of your team by getting grace months. In my old company, we used to have volume requirements. If you didn't meet those minimums, then you called the company and you requested a grace month. And people were, "Oh man, I love you so much. You're such a great upline." No, that's a coward. Hard training is where this thing is at. Okay? Hard training doesn't have to be hard. It just means put the person at a standard. They came in because they want to make money. That takes effort. It takes standards. You know, you ever see, you wake up in the morning, and you're still a little bit tired and you're just laying there. And at some point, you have to pee so bad that you're like, that's it. Right? There is a point where you're like, that's it. Okay? So, in the same kind of a way, if you don't move people into production, they're going to quit.
Exactly.
That's why you're being their best friend to train them. Okay? So, now you know what and how to train your team. And those are my discoveries about the whole industry. All right? So, the summary, what I do is I do the pipeline every day. I stack lines until someone finishes it for me. That's how I find my leaders. I train my leaders to pipeline until they can't do it wrong. For doing this, I earn exponential residual income for life. It's a small price to pay. All right. So, I'm going to have you guys take a break.
Thank you.
Oh, thank God. I get it. As soon as I mentioned it, I was like... and then I'm going to try to do arrangement. This is going to be a very difficult thing because you guys multiplied. I thought I would have like 40 people here. And so somehow you guys change your flights. So I'm going to do some arranging. Then we're going to come in. I'm going to explain how we're going to do some of these things, and then we'll have fun. Okay. Thank you guys. Take a break. Be back in here at 11:30.